Hello and welcome back to the instructional videos on the Alleviate portal. In this session I'm going to talk to you about creating supplier categories and supplier documents and combining the two together. Now the reason these exist is when you add a supplier in your supplier silo here, you get to choose the supplier category, which will in turn trigger the required documentation you want from that business. Now, if the supplier category in the available suppliers here is not satisfactory or not suitable and doesn't ask for the required documents that you seek, you get to choose to create your own categories and own documentation here and assign them to your suppliers as well. So I'll start off by creating a supplier category by clicking on here. You'll see some that have already been made for the purpose of the demonstration, but you go to the Add New button on the right hand side of the screen and you call it whatever type of supplier you wish to call it. And you might call it again, pardon my typing. And you can put a description in here if you wish, and you add. And that creates basically a library tag or just a tag that you then can attach documentation to. So if you go here to your carnival supplies we just created, you would then select the series of documents you want associated with that particular supplier type. And again, you get to choose from the existing library, which is here. So for example, things like insurances, certificate of occupancies. So we get a public liability insurance, which you would typically request. And then that's added to that supplier category. So if the document you're looking for is not in that list and you wish to create it yourself, you then go to your supplier documents, and that's an example of where you can actually go to menu items whilst you're within the portal. And again, you'll see those here that have been made before. Once you create these supplier categories and supplier documents, they are available to only you. No one outside your organisation gets to So here you get to name the document you want from that particular supplier. You call it whatever you like. You then choose whether you want valid to and from dates. So you can make them optional or not required at all. If they are required, then the document they provide won't be able to be uploaded until they provide the dates valid to and valid from, as requested here. And also, per document type, the suppliers can upload a maximum of 15 documents per tag. So we'll make it required, and we'll make it required here. So that's now a document type that's available in your library of documents. You can, any stage later on you wish to change those attributes we've just created, you can go back in and change them later on. So there it is there, Carnival Supply Certificate. So then you would go back to your supplier category. Go to your Carnival Supplies business here. Select the Documents tab because you now want to add an additional document. And by selecting the drop down, you scroll to the bottom and you'll see there it is there. Now, whilst you're here, every document type that you create has an asterisk beside it. So that means you've created it. And then you add it. And you close that. So going back to show you how it works in practice now, I'll go back to the suppliers silo. Where you can either add a new supplier with that supplier type, or you've got the ability to alter a supplier category from any of the suppliers you currently have. So I'll just show you for the purpose of demonstration. Here, you then, adding a new supplier type, you would go to the category here of supplier, go down to where you've created your own supplier categories, and again, similar to the documents, any supplier category you've created has that small sign beside it. So here's Carnival Suppliers, which we just created, and when you select that as a supplier type, it will automatically populate the two documents we've just attached to that supplier category. So when the supplier is then engaged via the system, they'll receive hyperlinks and being requested to provide these particular documents when they're engaged. As I said, similarly, in the view edit function beside each of your suppliers here, if for any reason you wanted to change your supplier categories at any stage, you may wish to update it from a previous there we go. So you would edit this section here. You then look at the supplier categories down here. Scroll down to where we created that supplier category, and you would see the documentation required change immediately. So that gives you the ability to not only add new suppliers with that supplier type, but also edit and change the supplier category regardless, depending on your needs. So hopefully that gives you a brief summary of the supplier categories and supplier document process and how you can take control of those categories yourself. Thank you, and I look forward to the next video.